Joe Biden, yeah, your president, all his leadership failures. Welcome back. It's been 217 days since the toxic train disaster, and Joe Biden has turned his back on the people of East Palestine and Ohio. Remember, 190 days ago, Joe promised to visit East Palestine at some point. When asked last weekend when he would finally visit, he cited his busy schedule before saying it's going to be a while. Now, in fairness, Joe has had a very extremely busy summer filled with endless trips to his beach house in Delaware amid a record number of vacation days, lots of vigorous bike riding, and, of course, fights with his own beach chair that he has a hard time moving on the beach, and all that ice cream, you know, it's not going to eat itself. But it's not just the people of East Palestine that he's abandoning, because as the wildfires were devastating Maui out in Hawaii, where was Joe? He was at the beach. And when asked about the disaster, his response, no comment. Here with reaction, East Palestine Mayor Trent Conway and Hawaii State Representative Diamond Garcia. Welcome, both of you. Mr. Mayor, let me start with you. He promised in March he would go there. He's had all these vacation days. Seems absolutely callous towards the situation there. My understanding is there are people that still can't move back into their homes for fear of all the toxic fallout. What is the current state of affairs for your town?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. The majority of people, I think, just want to move on. They want to get this cleanup over, get Norfolk and its contractors out of here, and just get back to normal life. But yes, there's definitely still, I think there's 200 families displaced, and we would need to get them back. There's still some health concerns that we're trying to work with our county health department and work with the Ohio Health Department and even the CDC, trying to get some answers for the people.
Yeah, and Mr. Garcia, good to have you. I'm so sorry what has happened out in Maui, as many Americans are. I could not believe my ears when he said not once but twice, no comment. You can't even say they're in our thoughts, they're in our prayers. I will be going out there to survey the situation myself. No, he squeezed a visit to Maui in between two vacations at Lake Tahoe. But then at one point he actually said, well, I don't want to get in the way. Mr. Garcia, I've looked at the video of the devastation. There was nothing to get in the way of in large areas of Maui. I'm not buying that as anything other than an excuse not to do his job. What was your reaction?
Absolutely. Well, the fact is the president came to Hawaii sometime after the fires burnt down the entire town of Lahaina. And when he came for less than 6 hours. He landed, did a brief tour, held a press conference where he literally butchered every single name that he mentioned, and then went to a event with the local families who lost everything. And Sean, he literally fell asleep in the midst of these families pouring out their hearts and sharing their experiences that day. He falls asleep. And this is our commander-in-chief. And one thing that was clear, Sean, was hearing from those who are on the ground is that they say, aren't we American citizens too? We are the 50th state of the union, and we're being treated like we are not U.S. citizens. Help came late, $700, not per person, but per household. And so they're in hotel rooms now, Sean, and in some Airbnbs, but their leases expire in less than 1 week for many of them.
All right, and let me ask you this question. When he went there and he started talking about his little house fire that was extinguished in 20 minutes, how do you make that kind of comparison? And I almost lost my Corvette and my cat. I'm thinking, These people lost everything. Do you not have eyes to see? Do you not see what's happened here?
You're exactly right. In the words of the local families here, they're saying, what a slap in the face that was. That comment was out of place. It goes to show the lack of basic humanity involved here. This isn't a partisan issue, and granted, we are a blue state. I'm one of the few red members here, but we're a blue state, and the president couldn't even come to a blue state and offer true federal support. Instead, he likens what they experienced, losing everything, their children, their loved ones, their homes, their lives, their history, to a small kitchen fire where he almost lost his Corvette and his wife and his cat. It was a slap in the face and a complete embarrassment.
Let me ask you, if I may, Mr. Conway, as mayor, I mean, do the people of your city, town, do they even want Joe Biden to show up at this point? I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, he would be welcomed. He is the leader of the free world. But, as far as, him coming, yes, it would be sort of I don't know, a little too late if you ask my personal opinion. And I think that's the opinion of a lot of people in town. But I don't know. He has promised that he will be here, but, nobody's holding their breath. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I mean, you saw in Hawaii, Mr. Garcia, that he shows up. The people of Hawaii rightly were pissed. Why are you even here? Don't even bother coming. Let me ask you both, exit question. Are you both getting what you need from the American people? Ukraine's getting plenty of money. Are you getting what you need to fix the problem? Mr. Garcia.
No, the answer is no. Talk to the locals on the ground. Lots of politicians here in Hawaii are kissing up to the federal government, but talk to the local families. They'll tell you they're not getting what they need. Once again, we are American citizens. We deserve.
Mr. Mayor, are you getting what you need in East Palestine?
Not 100%, no. I would say about 75%. And that might be a little gracious. We need some answers. We need to know, the lingering health effects this is going to happen to our village. So, we need some answers.
All right. Thank you both for being with us. Our best to the people in your communities. We appreciate your time. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.